drive by a place that has a stack up in the air that's burning something that comes off of it.
Right.
I'm like, how come they can't harvest it like these Republic Services guys do? You know, it's
It takes-
flammable, obviously.
It's a lot of
2 more
capital.
days for
Yeah,
the
maybe it's not
damage.
worth it to them to put the capital.
Depends on how much
into
they're
it.
actually producing to justify the investment.
Somebody's bound to be
First 2
charging them
days
for
were
burning it into the air like that.
You know, hell, man, they get the needle, I mean, the scalpel, and they split it, and then they snipped that knuckle.
No. Sorry. I just thought you knew.
But after about
Since
2
you don't
days,
get
it
it,
went away.
APW.
It's just a pain trying to bathe, and you can't get it wet and all this kind of stuff, so.
Keith, have you trapped any cats?
Not currently.
Thank you for bringing that up.
I cannot confirm nor deny that question. Answer.
Hey,
I see that.
I honestly haven't seen too many cats running astray.
It's very hot.
Recently.
They
It's the
could
weather,
be
yeah.
suffering, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been having to bring my rabbit inside in the daytime.
you got
Yeah.
I was thinking about something else. I wasn't even laughing at it. I just picture you wearing it like a parrot.
Come on, little rabbit. Let's go inside now. Come on.
Little bunny foo-foo, is that it?
Got a little bunny drop on my shoulder. It's okay.
There's only one thing I like more than staring
everybody's
at
cell
a cat.
phones on quiet, please.
I'll now call to order this meeting for the City of White House Council for today, June the 14th of 2022. The time is now 6 p.m. Ms. Hargis, will you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. James Wansley,
Here.
Zach Briscoe,
Here.
Georgia Harris.
Here.
John Chambers,
Here.
Michael Lowe,
Here.
and Heath Rosenstein.
Present.
We have quorum.
Thank you. We have a special pastor in presence tonight, Mr. LEOTIS Crow from the Empowerment Temple, Church of God. Will you please stand if you're able and join Pastor Crow for a word of prayer? Mr. Crow, if you could come up to the podium, please.
Let us bow our heads. Father God, we thank you for your grace and your mercy. Thank you for allowing us to be in this place, in this city, at this time. In this season of our life, God, we give you praise. We just honor you for what you're getting ready to do. We ask you to bless the mayor and all of the city councilmen right now as they conduct the business of the city. Give them the wisdom to carry out the plans that they've already set forth. We ask you to order their footsteps in everything they're doing. Everything they do, God, guide them now in the mighty name of Jesus. We give you praise right now and continue to touch and heal our bodies from every sickness and disease. Keep us safe and send rain in this place. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Pastor
you,
Crow.
Pastor.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag. Honor
Under
the
the
Texas
Texas
flag.
flag,
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. That sounded good. Right, it's going to be a great meeting. All right, that takes us to item D on the agenda, presentations. We have none. All right, that takes us to item E on community interest. Ms. Black.
Mayor and council, just a reminder that the farmer's market continues every Saturday and now Tuesdays in June from 4 to 7, I think are their hours. Same location. They're trying it out for the month of June to see how much interest they get and how long they can continue it. Maybe either through the summer or pick it back up again in the fall. The library has started their summer reading program. If you haven't seen all of the activities they are doing over there, it is pretty phenomenal. They're blowing and going over there. So, and then the splash pad is open for the summer, and we are happy to say that we have been a supporter of a STEAM pop-up event that the LRC coordinators from White House ISD have been putting together. They held their first one here at the park and probably had about 30 or 40 kids show up, and everyone went home with a goldfish. I won't report on the status of our goldfish.
I'm sure it's thriving.
And then they had their second event, I think yesterday, on moon phases. They're kind of splitting their time between Tyler and White House. So it's a great opportunity for kids to get some science education over the course of the summer.
So what's STEAM stand for?
Science, technology, engineering,
Arts and mathematics.
Okay. They do that at the park here, outside?
Yes.
What was the activity this time?
I'm not sure about the one for moon phases. The one that we attended was on ecosystems. So they had a game warden come out and talk to the kids. They played a game about resources for animals and wildlife, and then, everybody got a take-home kit to create a fish tank with a plant and a goldfish too in it.
That's a good thing, that's good.
So those teachers are doing that on their own time. They were able to get a grant through the Education Foundation. I think Genesis is probably a big supporter
We could,
of that particular grant.
next time they come, we could probably give away a cat when they come.
We'll stick to goldfish.
All right, well, that sounds great. It's,
Plenty of cats to give away, right?
it's great to see the community coming together. It definitely happens a lot in the farmer's market, and so much activity around this, the heart of the town with the library and the splash pad and the park here in that farmer's market area. That all is great to hear. All right, so that takes, anything else? Any council members have anything in the matter of community interest? I don't want to leave anything out.
Was our splash pad? It's I haven't been there. Our kids are grown, and but is it operational? Is everything working on it? We don't have any broken splashers.
We did have a few of those have been repaired, and as far as I know, everything over there right now is operational. We have a concession stand open during the summer. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we run that as a city, the concession?
We
or somebody?
contract with that's part of our agreement with the rec, and
Okay.
so we outsource that as a part of that agreement.
Nice. All right.
And I think it's, how much is it, $3 to get in? So,
The kids
All
have
day?
a ball.
Oh, we're
They-
charging for the splash pad?
yeah, splash pad is $3 to get in.
Huh. Is that Monday through Sunday?
It's open 7 days a week. Yes, 11 to 6 Monday through Saturday, and 1 to 5 on Sunday. I think.
Huh.
On the weekends, it's usually very crowded.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
very much so.
I was thinking maybe
Very loud.
one day we could I don't know, do a free
Go just a free day?
a free
They-
day.
I think they
for the-
did
promotional day.
on opening day. They do a free day.
Okay.
So.
Maybe another free day we could do. We could talk about maybe
Not a bad
for the
idea.
month of July, because it's Freedom Month. Maybe a free day in July.
Maybe a free
Maybe
adult
4th
day.
of July or something.
Adult day, be kind of cool for us as a city to promote.
Not a bad idea.
It's a suggestion from.
Okay. Yeah, it's under
That's
the
all.
purview of someone else, so we'll just need to talk to them about what that does for their revenue. Or
Sure.
Yeah, they have
Staffing.
employees that work over there.
Maybe able to find a sponsor to
Yeah.
sponsor that free day, if we can find out what their revenue is normally.
Right down to Heath wants to sponsor.
Yeah. Let's see what we can do.
All
Good
right.
idea.
Public forum. I didn't see anybody signed up for public forum, so we will jump past that down to the consent agenda. Council, you have your consent agenda presented in front of you. There's 2 items on it. And if we don't want to move one of these items off onto the regular agenda, then we will present the consent agenda as presented. Otherwise, we can move one onto the regular agenda and discuss it further.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second it.
I have a motion and a second. Ms. Harris, I heard first. That's my right dominant ear. Sorry. You have to. Any further discussion?
Take it out later.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. The consent agenda is done. That takes us down to item H on the agenda, other action items, ordinances, resolutions, and public hearings. Item number 1 is discussion, consideration, and action on broadband fiber feasibility study by CobbFendley.
Mayor and Council, I had a great conversation today with Melissa Boudreau, who is our project coordinator with CobbFendley, and we were able to come up with the following timeline for our broadband report. So they plan to have the executive summary to me by June 22nd, and we will have that item as an attachment on your agenda for June 28th. Not necessarily any action, but for your review, comments, and thoughts. We will have the full final report to you by June 30th. And then if you'll remember, I think at our last meeting, Mayor Wansley requested a council workshop to go over that final report. So I know July gets pretty tough with scheduling, with vacations and other things going on, but we'd like to do that the first part of July. And then on your July 12th regular meeting, consider the next steps, and if you would like to release a possible request for information or an RFI. And when I spoke to Ms. Beaudry today, she indicated that even if you wanted to go ahead and do an RFI, you wouldn't necessarily had to have chosen managed service or just
The
middle
business model,
broadband.
yeah,
Right, you
yeah.
could do an RFI that included both of those options so that you could have some hard numbers and proposals back for your consideration before you make that decision. We feel like that's an important piece to making that decision. Unless you just feel very strongly from the get-go that managed service is not the way that you wanna go. We wanna be respectful of the vendor's time. And I think we'll have more information once you see that final report, once we have the executive summary and some of that information.
So we need to pick a date probably now for the workshop.
That would be great. I do know that the CobbFendley team is available on Thursday, July 7th. I know that's not your normal meeting day, but Tuesdays get hard for us with planning and zoning and other board meetings that we have going on.
That first week of July, I'm out of
The
town.
week of the 4th.
Yep. And then the following week, I'm out most of that week. I don't have to be there, but just giving you a heads up. I will miss, 12th meeting, July.
I think we ought to make it work. We're all there for this. This is a big deal, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think whatever's necessary, I mean.
Can we do it around the lunch?
Um,
You think it's gonna take longer than that?
it
Can we
might
virtual
take longer
this?
than an hour. I mean, this is kind of one of the things where we just take the whale and we take small bites until we
Gotcha.
kind of all understand it.
And CobbFendley will be part of this, so we need to work
Yes.
on their schedule too.
Yes, they will be
Okay.
there, so.
Um,
Why don't we do this? Why don't I put together a list of dates with them? We will send those out and we will do our best to make sure we accommodate everyone so that we're not trying to narrow it down to one date tonight and it doesn't work for them.
if someone is unable to attend, do you think that we would be presented with enough information before then that maybe they could at least look over and maybe write down questions or concerns so we at least have their input?
Yes.
Yeah, we should have the final report by the
The
30th.
30th. So we wanted to make sure you had at least a week before we scheduled a workshop because we want everybody to have plenty of time to read and digest it, so. But
As
we
long
can-
as you don't hand us a report with the word broadband highlighted every time, like. That's kind of that's a starting point that's kind of far off. Yeah, absolutely. We can definitely set it up to where questions can come in and we can address those inside of the workshop on your behalf.
Sounds good.
Okay, I'll send possible dates tomorrow, once I get back with CobbFendley in there too.
Okay.
Sound good? Okay.
What is the expected output from the workshop? Just a general strategic direction or?
So I think it's to make sure that you all have had time to read the report, ask any questions, make sure you're comfortable with the report before adoption, because you would probably adopt it officially on July 12th, if we were able to have the workshop ahead of that meeting. And then really get your feedback and input on that RFI or what the next steps are from you as a council.
That's what I was kind of getting at, is that we expect that an agenda item will come out of this that will be formally.
Yes,
Addressed.
that you will adopt, probably two, adopt the final report and then give your direction and a vote on what the next steps you would like to see.
Potentially an RFI.
Potentially an RFI, it could be nothing, it could be,
Understood. Thank you.
Okay, the goal is to equip the entire council with an understanding of it in such a way that you can make a recommendation or that you can vote, and then if somebody stops you on the street, you can say, this is why we did this, you know, I understand it to be this way, and you can speak to it.
one other note that did come out today is that the East Texas Council of Governments, as you all know, is working on their own broadband study and some of their funding opportunities, and I think, there's been a, notice of funding availability that's come out with a deadline, a grant deadline in September. And so they are specifically asking for where we stand on our broadband report as well, to make sure that whatever we would like to see happen becomes a part of their application and their process. So we'll be keeping in close contact with them, and I know Mayor Wansley is serving on that committee. So that's a great point to keep our information in front of them and a part of our partnership with that Council of Governments.
Yeah, they're wanting dates in July, so they picked it up kind of mid to late July is when I'll be meeting with them and we'll discuss it. So they were pretty loose about it. They said, we'll reach out to you in 90 days, it was 30.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they got sped up.
That timing has been moved up. So I think us having this and having some clear direction of maybe what next steps and options, and you all having a greater understanding of where we're headed is gonna be really important as EdCog moves through their funding process as well.
So
Yeah,
they're-
these dates line up really well with that, so that's
So
great.
they're gonna talk about possible managed services, managed agreements, like City of Bryan has one. I just wonder, you know, so,
Yeah, that's certainly an option that will be presented.
man, everywhere I'm looking, there's orange fiber optic, everywhere I'm looking. Yeah.
It's good stuff. Can't wait. Thanks for helping us move that forward. All right. Hey, we're on to, is there any more questions or comments on feasibility study? All right, so that takes us down to H2, discussion of fiscal year 2022-23 budget and tax rate. It's budget season.
Mayor and Council, my apologies for getting the utility fund information out to you a little bit later than the agenda packet this week. Jennifer was gracious enough to work on that while I was out of town last week, and so was able to put some things together and get that over to you. Most of this presentation you have seen before. We are currently in June, so we are working on our budget reviews, refining requests, and our capital improvement committee continues to meet. We're scheduled to meet this Thursday to go over financial options and funding sources for identified capital projects that they've been reviewing. Next month, we will continue reviewing our budget, and we expect to receive the certified rolls from the appraisal district on July 25th. That's the statutory deadline. Once we receive those certified rolls, the process speeds up considerably. You will need to propose a tax rate in August, hold public hearings, and adopt rates, and then in October, we will implement the budget. And just as a reminder, we will have special meetings on August 2nd and August 16th. And it's critical that if at all possible you attend, we have to have certain majority requirements that are different than regular votes for those tax rates. Susan, okay, we'll be okay.
Okay.
Again, these are just our mission-driven focus areas. As you all remember, our mission includes the words safe, connected, and engaged. And so these are just some ideas that we have that relate to those words. Again, we will be recommending some significant increases to public safety staffing and compensation to match the national trends on recruiting and retaining qualified labor forces in those fields. And then specifically for the utility fund, one of the things that we will be recommending as part of our projects later on are improvements to the 110 North Water Plant so that we can provide a secondary power source to our largest producing water plant. That plant currently does not have generator power. Jeff pulled out a budget request from 2003 where he requested a generator for that water plant. If you'll remember, our budget process is to really go through and say, here's what we need to continue operations as they stand today. That's what was in the line item budget that I sent you yesterday. It does not include additional projects that move the needle or make us more efficient or provide more services. Those lists will come later, so we're still working on those and refining those. But this generator for the 110 North Water Plant will be on that list and will probably be one of the top item in the utility fund.
Are we able to source those now? Are they available?
I don't know. I mean, there's no telling by October what the sourcing will look like for those kinds of things. But without it budgeted, I mean, we're looking at $100,000 or more for that project. So.
Would this have helped us during the snowpocalypse?
It would not have prevented our water outage. It would have helped, yes. Anytime you can keep water flowing when the power is out, that helps keep it from freezing. But the extended period of time that we had freezing temperatures, we just can't run those motors 24/7. We would have had to have shut them off. And so it would have helped, but it wouldn't have prevented what we faced.
So what type of events does the generator protect against?
So it
Short
protects
outages?
short, intermediate, or even long-term outages at the 110 North plant. What we faced during Snowmageddon or Winter Storm Uri wasn't due to a power outage, it was due to the freezing temperatures. We had power for all but about 12 hours of that.
Gotcha.
But because we were out of power and couldn't run those motors, the pipes froze. So this will help with the power issue,
Not
that, not the
Gotcha.
freezing issue.
Yeah, if during the rest period the pipes freeze over, that's kind of what we encountered. The choice was to run the pumps longer and damage them, or to shut them down and let it freeze, and just eventually succumb to
Yeah.
letting them freeze.
Gotcha.
It was a tough decision. If by chance we had a power shortage right now, would that put us in a bind if we had a major fire? Or we have plenty of water to fight a fire?
For any short-term outage, we have plenty of water. We
Okay.
have, this is the only water plant that is not currently on a secondary power source. Our two other water plants have generators and are able to run and operate. It just so happens that the 110 North Water Plant is our largest plant, and when we use Tyler water, that's where it comes in.
Okay.
Connected, again, our broadband study is mentioned here, that's a general fund or American Rescue Plan expenditure. And then again, our CIP committee is continuing to meet, and then 109 East Main will afford significant opportunities for city adjacent organizations to continue their engagement. This is just a review of our financial goals specific to the utility fund. We have what's called a pilot, and it's payment in lieu of taxes. So other utilities, Atmos Gas, Encore, they all pay franchise fees to the city to use our rights of way and to use that space that we have to buy or trade to get that space next to a roadway. The utility fund doesn't do that because we would be paying ourselves. So cities use what's called a pilot or a payment in lieu of taxes to pay those franchise fees from one fund to the other. Part of reducing or keeping our utility rates flat is to reduce our general fund reliance on that transfer from the utility fund. It's about $360,000 a year.
Yeah, so we're less dependent upon a commodity, like water is a commodity. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we have no, if it's a wet summer, our water revenue diminishes greatly. Hot summers, like we're having right now, increase it, so. So when we wanna talk specifically about the utility fund, it's the second largest fund of the city. It accounts for over $3 million of revenue and expenditures each year. One of the positives that we have with our utility fund, we are a dual source water system, so we have Wells and City of Tyler. We do have a very healthy infrastructure. Again, we are anticipating change in leadership. We are recruiting right now for a Director of Public Works. Jeff Tomlin, our current director, after 34 and a half years with the city, is gonna retire. Our water system and sewer systems will of course require continued capital investment, that we're reviewing those priorities right now. As you all know, and we hear frequently, we do have rates that are higher than other municipalities in our area. And we are incredibly operationally lean. When you look at our line item budget that we're proposing this year, you will see an increase for some contract labor. We use a local contractor pretty regularly for any significant main breaks or anything that we have. We have 8 people in public works, and 2 of those are on streets, 2 are on sewer, and the rest are in water. So we have 4 people responsible for delivering 264 million gallons of water a year. So that contract labor really helps us keep our operational costs low, so that we're not carrying staff where we don't need them, but we have the opportunity to quickly and financially reasonably correct those issues as they arise. And then, again, those needed emergency operations improvements, adding a generator to the 110 plant. And I just thought you might be interested in these numbers of the amount of water and sewage that are treated and delivered on an annual basis. And again, we do that with 8 people.
Unbelievable.
It is.
About to be 7.
Yeah.
6 actually.
No pressure, right?
So the line item budget that was sent to you yesterday does not include those capital projects that are under consideration by the Capital Improvements Committee. It does not include any provisions that we will be recommending later in this process for compensation. It does include the new insurance rates that we have received, medical, dental and vision, or just medical? Just medical at this point. It does not include new insurance rates for workers' comp and any other insurance in those line items. We have reached out to the city of Tyler, and their preliminary indications are that they will not recommend a change in rates for the upcoming fiscal year.
Oh, that's good.
So that's good. Provides for increased contract labor that I was talking about earlier. I do think in the upcoming fiscal year, we will consider doing a water and wastewater rate study as a part of completing our capital improvements plan, and we see what big capital projects are on the horizon for our water and wastewater systems. That's a critical part of determining your rates and going forward, and so I think once we have that piece, it would be a good time to look at where we stand on our rates. I will continue to argue that we have the best infrastructure system in East Texas. And that's how we're able to stay so lean. It's highly efficient and in great condition. And I think that's because we have maybe some higher than average water rates. We're not facing some of the same struggles that area municipalities are. But we want to make sure that we're keeping a good balance of quality infrastructure but reasonable rates for our citizens. And so that's kind of where we stand with our considerations for the upcoming fiscal year. These are just some charts looking at our revenues. The orange is what is proposed. You can see that, as always, our department directors do a phenomenal job of keeping operational expenditures flat. This is looking at revenues, and this is assuming that we keep the same revenue for current services. We increased revenues for water and sewer last year. I'm not recommending a change in the budgeted amount of revenues just yet. I want to get a few of these hot summer months under our belt and see where we stand revenue-wise. So for now, staff has kept all revenues flat from the prior year. And I'm not going to be recommending a change in our water and wastewater rates for the upcoming year. So that's why we kept that flat. We think it'll be a little bit higher due to the growth that we have. But again, I'd like to get a little bit more, maybe get the June billing done and kind of see where we stand before we recommend any changes for the upcoming fiscal year. For expenditures, again, it's either flat or lower. I will say that this can be slightly misleading because, for example, in water operations in the current year budget, we had $100,000 in the budget for water tank painting as a part of our capital improvements. That's been taken out, and we haven't added back in the generator. So while it looks lower, I think we can all agree it will probably be at the same or a higher rate for the upcoming year. Does that make sense? I don't want to come in and be like, oh, look, we're cutting all of these things. That's not true. There are just some pieces that are still missing when you look at this chart. Any questions on any of that? I feel like I've gone through it pretty quickly. Okay. So next steps, again, we will continue working on these operating budgets. So upcoming, we still need to review our general fund, which is the city's largest fund. We'll need to look at the EDC, we'll look at some debt service, capital improvements that are coming up, and then all of those extra project or moving the needle projects and kind of prioritize those and see what we can afford to do, what we think is the highest priority, and start plugging those numbers in. We'll continue to review the tax rate data that we're receiving from the appraisal district and the tax office. That really, we're kind of at a holding pattern right now until we get to those certified rolls on July 25th. As soon as we get that information, that tax discussion again will happen rather quickly. That's what I have.
Well,
Very good.
thank you.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it is. I really like how you guys are able to break that down. We start early so that we can gain a deeper understanding as we go. That really helps.
Okay.
All right, that takes us to, I keep doing this. Any more questions or comments on the budget? Any more questions to ask regarding the budget of the city?
No, at this time.
All right. So that takes us to item H3, discussion, consideration, and action on ordinance 22-0614-01, soil erosion and sedimentation control.
Mayor and Council, we are currently in a review process with the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, or TCEQ, for our stormwater permit. And as a part of that review, they asked for us to provide our current soil erosion and sedimentation control ordinance, which what we had did not meet their standards and requirements. So they sent us a sample Staff has worked to draft the ordinance that was in your packet, and we have asked TCEQ to review it and make sure that it meets their standards, and it does. One thing that we do not have in there, is the setting of the permit fee for this plan. This plan will require that developers and builders submit a, soil erosion control permit plan. So they need a plan showing where all of that is gonna be on their site so that we can inspect it and make sure that they have it. Those are all requirements by TCEQ, but it does come at a cost to the city. We will need to have it reviewed and inspected, continual inspections and follow up if they are not meeting the requirements.
That's statewide for
Yes.
cities?
Yes.
And we haven't been doing that?
Non-negotiable. We have been doing the work. We have been making sure that they have silt fencing or other methods of erosion control. We just haven't been doing a permitting process, and haven't had it codified in our ordinances. So this is just a little bit of cleanup on processes that we're already doing. It does make it a little bit more stringent in that they do have to submit a plan, which we haven't required up until now. And it kind of helps hold us accountable and the developer and the builder to be more accountable on making sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Is this only new work, or is this also like?
Renovations, existing?
Yeah, exactly.
remodels?
If you do any change to the grade or the topping of property, it is required. Now, the level of what is required is gonna be different. If you're clearing an entire lot or an entire development, the expectation and the erosion control that's gonna be required is significantly greater than if you're putting in a pool.
So if something like somebody's putting in a French drain, are they gonna have to put in
I
a
would,
permit?
no, that's different than, I think grading, I mean, we're thinking like pool, you need to have some erosion control because of the
A
amount of
sizable
dirt.
environmental impact.
Yeah, I'd have to go back, I can't
Like a
pull the
factory.
ordinance up while I've got it right here, but it
Pool
says what the
factory?
requirement
No,
is.
somewhat same.
Yeah.
Um, And we're gonna be reasonable, I mean, if someone is calling us and it's,
Of course.
I'm just trying to think of some
This
examples
is
that we
very
talked
common,
about.
very common.
Yes,
It's,
yeah.
it's a good thing, it's a gotta
It
have
is.
for sure.
So are the
And-
others grandfathered in then, that had not provided this?
Yeah, it would be from those submitting for permits from this point forward.
Will this deter, you think, future?
No, this
Growth?
is required in every construction project. And like I said, we've been requiring the actual sedimentation control, we just haven't been requiring a permit.
Charging for one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which,
Is this a percentage of the actual job, or is this a set flat fee?
so we will probably do it a flat fee, that's what's not in the ordinance that we will need to bring back to you. Normally, I would ask you to table it, however, we are under a 30-day deadline from TCEQ to get this passed, so I'm gonna ask that you go ahead and pass it with the understanding that we will have it on the next agenda with a fee attached to it. You can pass it now without a fee attached to it, it references a fee, but if you don't have one on the books, then there's no fee. So we will make sure that we get that back, because like I said, there is a very real cost to us checking and making sure that the plan for the permit has been reviewed, inspections, and then follow-up on this. This is not a favorite thing of developers and builders to do, because there's no value add, right, to the product. I mean, it's a true cost of doing business, and so, we have to be diligent in our enforcement of these things on them.
But
Yeah,
it
but
keeps
with-
you friendly with your neighbors.
And it keeps that soil out of our drainage
Yeah.
too,
Right.
In our streets.
yeah.
It
So when it comes
keeps
to cost, do you
erosion
want
and
to
Only-
give us ideas?
Only rain down the drain.
Yeah, we'll make a recommendation.
At the next
Only
meeting?
rain down the drain.
That'll be at the next meeting?
Yes,
So the option is that we can vote on this tonight and pass it without an ordinance and wait until the next meeting and, without a
With a
fee,
fee.
and then at the next meeting, discuss and come to a consensus on a fee?
yes,
Okay.
that's your option.
You wanna?
But it doesn't do anything if we do that, right? Cause you still can't.
So it puts us in compliance with TCEQ.
Okay,
Yes, there's
okay.
that.
Okay.
And if we don't have a quorum next meeting, we'll still be in compliance with TCEQ, we just won't have a fee attached to it yet.
I'll make the
Okay.
motion to approve.
Y'all wanna vote on whether we should vote?
I vote yes.
John made a motion.
I think we ought to do it.
You made a motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve ordinance 22-0614-01, soil erosion and sediment control, with the understanding that there will be a fee attached at a later council meeting.
Second.
Alright, I have a motion and a second, any further discussion? All those in favor, roll call?
Two.
Roll call, let's roll call it.
All right, Zach Briscoe,
Yes.
Georgia Harris.
Yes.
John Chambers,
Yes.
Michael Lowe,
Yes.
and Heath Rosenstein.
Approved.
Ooh.
I believe that's
Yes.
the mayor's line.
Oh, is it all? Sorry, Mayor. There you go.
We're gonna sign it?
Good idea there,
Redact,
Secretary.
redact, please.
Alright. Thank you. Order. Alright. So with that, the motion carries and we have a new ordinance. Thank you for keeping us
Oh my
compliant.
Good job, Doug.
Appreciate that. Alright. So that takes us down to item H4, discussion, consideration, and act upon joining the National League of Cities.
Mayor and council, normally, I wouldn't have something like this on the agenda, but joining the National League of Cities is something that you as a council body would do. It's, a little bit different than just the city joining or me joining a professional organization. So I went ahead and put it on the agenda. As I mentioned in my staff memo, the National League of Cities, they're kind of the national equivalent of the Texas Municipal League. They provide a ton of resources, training, and information to cities all across the nation, and really help support cities in what they're trying to accomplish on an everyday basis. In particular, why this came up at this time, they're putting out a lot of information, have been putting out a lot of information on federal funding, both on the SLFRF, so coronavirus funding, the American Rescue Plan Act, and more importantly, the upcoming Investment in Infrastructure and Jobs Act, and the continual federal funding that we think is going to be available to cities over the coming years. They were very gracious to provide a lot of their coronavirus funding information to everyone, whether you were a member or not. We're starting to see some of that free access kind of diminish with this new federal funding that's coming out. So staff is recommending that you approve and join the National League of Cities. I've been a member of the National League of Cities before, and again, it's just a great resource to help us understand everything that's coming out of the federal government. The cost is estimated at $1,300 a year, so it's minimal for the amount of training and resources that they provide.
So we'd all be eligible to be a member, right?
Well, the city as a whole would join, but yes, we will make sure that they have your information as a part of that membership.
They don't need
I wanna go to Washington.
So when, they won't prevent you from going if you're not a member.
Yeah,
The,
you have to be a member to go.
The part of their mission is to strengthen local leadership. Do they have trainings or classes?
They
or
do
seminars?
a national conference as well every year, similar to the Texas Municipal League Conference at the state level. They do a national conference every year. But yes, they do trainings and things throughout the year as well. I'm sure they do. It's been a while, so don't hold me to it, but I'm sure they do some web-based training and development.
Oh,
They
okay.
have conferences too, like
That'd be
TML.
great.
Annual?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it sounds like there may be a political action committee of some, or a lobbying organization of some
Probably
kind.
similar to the Texas Municipal League, they probably lobby on behalf of cities. Like right now, they're emailing pretty frequently asking how you would use the
Oh, trying to get answers for the funding?
IIJA
Yes.
Act, the Infrastructure Act, so that they can help establish the rules and guidelines with the Treasury
Right.
of what's allowed.
Like here are some fundable projects,
Yes,
examples.
here
Yeah,
are some
that'll be
examples.
really
We're not just gonna spend it on, bureaucratic retirement systems,
Yes.
that's a favorite.
Here's
of
the bad
federal
part, you
government.
spend it on the wrong place, you have to give it back.
Right.
True.
So they seek a lot of input and are a very good voice for cities to help guide federal funding and legislation as well.
Alright, I'll make a motion, we're gonna join the National League of Cities.
Second it.
Have a motion and a second, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Alright. We're gonna join. All right, that takes us to item H5, discussion and any necessary action on hosting the TML Regional Meeting. And I suspect probably the League of Nations meeting at some future event.
We'll host it too.
We'll host that too.
National League of Cities, looks like League of Nations, but
Justice
no,
League.
not international.
We're
Can,
gonna
can we host the
What did I
Justice
say,
League, please?
International League of Cities?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. National League of Cities, okay. So the discussion on necessary action on hosting the TML Regional Meeting. Here we go.
Alright.
Heath is in charge.
Yeah,
You
Yeah, we're doing a great job. We have had a couple meetings already. We have a spot nailed down that we're going to meet at. Super excited that we do have a sponsor so far. We have two sponsors. We have GrantWorks and Republic. So we
And now you got a
appreciate
caterer.
that. And when we're working on a caterer, meal prep guy. Great. He's got his business, does a great job. I eat his food all the time, and it is an amazing fajita thing that we're gonna have. We are going to do so much good at this meeting. We are going to spread the word of all the things that the cities need to know about. But we're gonna show off our city because it's so great. Our city is great. We have so much to offer here. We have everything. We've got schools. We've got community. We've got a splash park. I mean, come on, what?
Low crime rate,
Low crime rate, so super excited. We've got,
best tasting water.
Okay, I have a question
Councilwoman
about
Harris,
our
yes.
sponsorships. So that's list all the food and utensils and supplies and soda and water, but they served beer and wine at the one we went to. So do we have a sponsor that would cover some of that?
we haven't yet. I
Okay.
also
So we need to
wanted to
discuss
bring up,
a sponsor that is willing to sponsor that.
Who is?
portion.
Okay.
One of our sponsors is.
oh, good, okay.
What's the
Um,
location? You said there was a
The
location?
Jasper? Jasper?
Oak Crossing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna do it there.
That's,
And beer and wine's okay?
that's a home run.
Yeah.
That's good.
We verified.
How many people usually attend these? I missed
About
that.
60, they
60,
said, yeah,
okay.
we have about 60.
And that's from all the geographic area
Yes.
encompassed.
Yeah.
East Texas.
Have we ever done this ever? Sponsor.
I'm not sure.
This is
We're
a great
progressive
thing.
here, yeah.
This is a great thing.
Yeah. So another
Hands started
thing that
flying
I
up
think
and I
would be
couldn't.
good. There's a vendor that we have, a business that we have here in White House. I don't know if anybody's heard of it. It's called Daily Fix.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a great place to get drinks. Wonderful. So I had talked to the owner, or actually I talked to one of the co-owners, I think, about possibly helping out with that. Being there as a caterer, but bringing drinks that maybe everybody can have a sample of drink, or I know there's going to be beer and wine, but I think it's a
Sure.
viable option for those who don't drink
Yeah,
the beer and wine, that they have a great.
and they have some
Good
energy drinks,
drink.
anybody with a long ride home, like we had an hour and a
Absolutely.
half ride home.
Absolutely. So I'm working on getting some costs involved on that to see what it would cost if it's feasible. We can offer that. Just options. People love options.
Mhm.
No one wants to be cornered on one item. They want to have options. So if we have options, this is a great thing.
And they like to be made, people like it to be easy.
Very
Nothing
easy.
difficult, you know.
And we want our mayor to shine
That's right.
along with the city.
We sure
I'll make
do.
sure to buff it out real good. I'll get really excited.
Yes.
But yeah, the more local fare that we can demonstrate while we're there, so local food shops, local drink places, I think
That's
that's great. It
Absolutely.
does sound like you guys are doing a great job. You weren't kidding.
We're working on it. We're getting there.
It really
yes.
is. Proud of
So
you.
super excited. If you guys have any
Hey,
questions,
did
let
he
us
have
know.
dessert on there?
He did, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, and, all of his stuff
Four
is
courses.
amazing.
Sounds like it's four
I mean,
courses.
but you mentioned he was like healthy and so.
He is, but he does have a,
He has a cheat day.
baker on staff as well. A very
Okay.
good baker. Yes.
All right.
All right, awesome.
Yes. It's going to be. The Hallsville one was great. The dessert was wonderful. If you like that kind of dessert, ours is going to be grand slamming dessert.
I'll say Hallsville has been amazing to help us plan and.
They've
get
been great
all the
too, sending us
information that we
I
need.
checklists
did
and
like
all.
that they had their own wine glasses with their logo that were those kind of acrylic reusable ones. So I'll sponsor those for the city of White House.
All right.
'Cause
Beautiful.
Right.
They're nice.
We're recording this,
Adding-
right? We've got
adding
this
it to
on.
my list.
I'll get them. I need to get them ordered probably now.
Beautiful.
I'll send you the
Madam
logo.
Secretary, make
Correct
sure you're
logo,
ready.
yes.
The correct,
Yes.
without the lowercase c.
Correct logo.
I would like a correct logo, please. Thank you.
Anything that we can do to really, like, echo what y'all were saying, to make us differentiate from other cities. Not that they not done a good job, but anything that can put us, what are we really wanting to showcase? Anything that we can really.
Hospitality is what we're gonna showcase.
Okay.
Friendly
And
hospitality
is
for
there,
our city.
like, who is, working on the speaker and booking him?
Yes, we
Does
talked
that need to
about,
be-
Judge Moran, being able to speak. I had talked to, Kim, who is his, I guess, assistant right-hand person. I've
You know
talked to her a
that's his
couple
best
times.
friend.
We
Who?
confirmed
Judge Moran,
that.
well, good. Well, I did talk to Kim
Okay.
and gave her those 2 dates that we had
Okay.
discussed, and she said that his schedule as of now, was open for that.
Okay, perfect.
So we just, now that we've got a confirmed date, we need to.
Yeah, just give me a date. And the more confirmations.
Okay, yeah,
better.
I just wanna make sure that that's a done deal. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure he would love that opportunity to speak to that many cities gathered in
For
his hometown.
sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
who wouldn't like that?
Me.
Yes, that's true. All right. Yeah, it sounds like that's coming together really well. I appreciate that.
It's gonna be a very nice event.
It will be. Will be. Super excited.
You are in fact doing. a
Dare
good
to be
job.
different.
Thank you, I know, right? It's a shocker.
Yeah, you prefaced it with that, and then we
Yeah,
heard.
you got our expectations way up
You're
here.
right.
They just kept going up.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, anything else to add on that? All right. I'll be doing the valet parking.
Nice.
Don't worry.
And the turkey soup?
No, so you say that, when I talked to Hallsville, they're like, yeah, we had our employees valet park one time, and I was like, yeah, no.
At the one we went to, there was no valet parking, and it was not
We're not
necessary.
doing valet parking.
Yeah, the parking
No.
lot's kind of small.
Yeah.
You can have park-
Yeah.
Just park over
Yeah,
there and walk.
that's
over.
really
Not a
good.
very far walk.
They have great
No.
sidewalks too.
No, surely that's not gonna be an
All the
issue.
staff looked at me sideways when I mentioned that they did valet parking. at the
Hey, they get
last
tips.
one.
They get tips. All right.
Table centerpieces.
So that takes us to item 6, consider future agenda items.
This is the list I have running for our next agenda, and the Youth Community Council, I think, is to a point where they are ready to order the kneeling soldier statue, for phase 2 of their, deal, and so we need to get you all to approve that, because technically the contract will be with the city of White House. So we need to make sure that you all are in agreement with that. Again, I was a little presumptuous that you would allow to have us our permit fee on the next council meeting, as you stated earlier.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I know, who
Man.
knew? It's like I have a crystal ball.
Hey, back to the veterans thing, do they have like a website or somewhere where you can buy a brick online?
Yes.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, and
Question about that,
the original idea was to have that brick fundraising be the thing that fully pays for the kneeling statue, but
Not necessary, no.
at the memorial event, we had a donor say, "How much do you need?" And we said 42,000, and they said, "Well, mark me down for 20 of it."
Nice.
And then another youth community council member's father was there and said, "Let me see how close I can get you to the other half," going back to his organization.
But we're
So-
still doing the bricks.
Yeah,
Yes,
we're still doing, we're still
Which is
doing
great.
I mean, yeah.
No,
Yeah,
we're
because
not.
there's another, about $6,700 in irrigation improvements
Yes.
they'd like to make out there.
This is
some
such a
walking
wonderful
paths that are about
thing.
$7,200 right now that they'd like to make, they need to talk about lighting. I mean, there's some other things that we need to.
So I'd like to talk about the statue,
Mhm.
because that has to be maintained yearly, and I know once a year it has to be waxed or whatever it's, Councilmember Lowe knows the ins and outs of doing something like that. So is that going to, I've heard rumors and talks that we're trying to have different organizations do it once, so having 12 organizations do it once a month. What's the fallback? Is it fallbacking on the city if that doesn't get done to maintain this area?
That's a question that we'll have a great answer to on June 28th,
Okay.
when we have it on the agenda. So
And
we'll
there'll be
make sure the
costs
youth
in there
committee
too,
council-
if
we'll
we're
make
having
sure
to
that
maintain?
the youth committee council has those answers.
Okay, thank you.
Again, we will talk about broadband. We should have our executive summary on the agenda on June 28th. We are continuing to work on the facilities plan. We are gonna do some work between now and the next meeting to do some more, sketches and floor planning for 109 East Main. And this facility as well. And then, of course, we will still be talking about budget and tax rate.
Thank goodness.
Can I add something to the, another item? To talk about that free day in July for the splash, you said you were gonna get some numbers on what it would cost to possibly sponsor that day. I think that's important.
Yeah, something neat. It's for the kids, you know.
Kids and family, especially, I mean, $3 is $3, but you know, it adds up if you have 5 kids, you've got 3 kids, and the way prices are, inflation, gas, food,
Well,
if we can just help out on a weekend or so,
it not
it'd be
only,
nice.
it not only helps people, but it introduces a lot of families that may not even know about it. When you hear the
Yeah.
word free, okay, you kind of respond.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, you get maybe some low-income folks and may help everybody, you know. I think it's a good thing, you know, if we can do it, you know.
All right, anything else? No?
I have nothing further.
It's gonna end quick. All right, if there's nothing further on this item, that brings us down to I, executive session, which we don't have, so we don't need to do item J, which is where we reconvene, so that takes us down to item K, where we adjourn. The time is now 6:49, and if there's nothing more to add to this meeting, it is.
That's your estimate, almost in hand.
Boy,
Under an hour.
he's getting on with it tonight.
This thing goes to sleep really fast.